attack one of the Imperium in order for us to...
So after he said it, everybody just started referring to me as the evil doppelganger. Thing is, I'm not really evil, nor a doppelganger. Hold on a second. There we go. Like I was saying, I told him, why don't you just use my name and call me? Excuse me. Really, it's been months and just now he's calm. I'm terribly sorry. Oh no, you don't. Oh no. There. Oh. Fuck. Hey, it's been a while, but I'm finally back, and I'm going to finish the Space Wolf trilogy that I started almost a year ago. So get ready for the review of Wolf's Honor, written by Lee Leitner. Now, if you remember from long ago, Lee Leitner is actually a pen name of two good friends who are writers, and I'll go into more depth with that, but since I've already gone over that, I'm just going to skip over those small details. Really, I didn't have much details when I did do it in other reviews, but that's not really the important part. So Wolf's Honor finishes a series that started with Wolf's Blade and was continued by Sons of Fenris. So let me try to do a quick recap of what went on. Our main Mary Sue character, Ragnar Blackmane, has been quote-unquote exiled from the Space Wolf Legion and sent to join the Wolf Blade, which is a group of Space Wolves sent to protect the Navigators of the Legion. Now what's a Navigator? Navigators are the pilots who are capable of piloting the ships of the Imperium through the warp. They're the guys that have that third eyeball on their forehead. And while normally it's considered an honor, Ragnar's dismissal was a bit sour because he lost a great ancient relic of the Space Wolves. And when he joins the Wolfblade, he's met up with two characters, Torin, the preppy Space Wolf, and Hagar, the fat Space Wolf. I'm sorry, but that's just his character, he's the fat guy. And their main goal is to protect a particular navigator called Gabriella, of House Belisarius. In Wolfblade, they stopped a little infighting, civil war, political BS that they had to deal with, since the houses of the Navigators are pretty much Game of Thrones. And in Sons of Fenris, they had to deal with a plot dealing with some Chaos Space Marines, Dark Angels, and the Thousand Suns trying to pull the strings behind everything. And now in Wolf's Honor, we're actually starting to see some of those minor plots that kind of slipped by in the first two books finally come together and you figure out what's really going on. So let's get right to it. Now, just like the other two books, this book is essentially a flashback. We start off with Ragnar already leading a company of Space Wolves. And he's having to deal with one of his Space Wolves suffering the curse of the Wolfkin. Now, what's the Wolfkin curse? Why don't you take this from me? I was just starting to enjoy my vacation. Come on, there's no need to be pissy about this. You already know this. You don't even need me to be here. Hey, I brought you back. Just, come on, help out. Fine. You see, many Space Marine chapters have a defect in their gene seed being what makes them more than human. And the defect in the Space Wolf gene seeds essentially turns them into, well, to put it crudely, werewolves. Not quite the kind that only turn in a full moon, but when they succumb to their more savage urges, their bodies will quite literally, and in most cases permanently, turn into a very savage wolf-like form, and cause them to become berserkers. And after we're left with a little cliffhanger as to how Ragnar's going to deal with this, we're sent into a flashback to see how he dealt with this in the past, and how he learned from his experience. The Chaos Space Marine Legion, the Thousand Suns, which is a legion of sorcerers, pretty much, is trying to pull off some really wicked plan that the Space Wolves have no idea what's going on, but they're still trying to stop it. And this planet is spread out so far out and on so many planets, the Space Wolves are really stretched out thin. So they're forced to rely on the Wolf Blade to help out. And this is where Ragnar comes in. Now Ragnar's company is joined up with a group of Blood Claws. Blood Claws are essentially the rookies of the Space Wolves. But just like any of the Space Wolf members, they're young and they're trying to prove themselves, and they have trouble with authority. And while positions in the Wolf Blade is considered an honor to many, they still consider Ragnar an outcast or an exile, however you want to put it, and are always trying to pick a fight with him. But what I don't get is, Thorin and Hagar are also considered exiles and outcasts just because of association with Ragnar. That's all I can figure out why they're doing this to them, because there's no purpose to it. Including the Wolf Priest, who's in charge of the Blood Claws, pretty much aggravates this entire situation. So now we already got infighting dealing with Ragnar and the Blood Claws, and a massive galactic war that's going on between the Space Wolves and the Thousand Suns. Not to mention, nobody knows at this point what the Thousand Suns are doing exactly. And we get another side of the story with Ragnar's former company, Beric's Great Wolf Company, fighting on the planet of Karis, where as far as the story is concerned, is where the main focal point of all this evil stuff's going on. Now how does the story go without giving away too many spoilers? Well, without giving away too many spoilers. Ragnar and company are able to figure out that the Thousand Suns are trying to merge reality with the warp, or something like that. And the byproduct of this is causing the Space Wolves to succumb to the curse of the Wolfen. So Ragnar and company need to go into the warp to stop the Thousand Suns. And while this is going on, the Space Wolf Captain Beric is out of commission. So his company is now being led by his second in command, Mikhail Sternmark. And I thought the plot of his story was actually a little bit more interesting than what was going on with Ragnar. Not so much in the way in the battles of the war, but throughout his progression in the story, he's being viewed by a skull, who's pretty much recording all of his actions to memory to be told in a later tale. Because that's how the Space Wolves roll. They don't have written history, it's all told in the story. But Sternmark is very unsure of himself, being the second in command and never really being the true leader of the entire company. So he's always second guessing himself, and having the skull staring at him the entire time, along with the way his mind is being affected by the curse, is beginning to make him appear more human than an actual Space Marine. Because now we're seeing the weakness in his character at the same time he's trying to overcome that. And that I found very interesting. Of course, everything else about that story is kind of bland. But how does Ragnar's part of the story goes? With him traveling to the Eye of Terror? Well, if you see my other reviews, you already know Ragnar is a huge Mary Sue character. I mean, his Mary Sue characters are just off the scale this time. It is over...
It's over 9,000!
No! Stay on there.
It's over
No! We are not doing that joke, YouTube. Let it go, YouTube. That is way old right now. We gotta let it go. But it's really high. Now, why am I saying it's so incredibly high? Well, by now you should already know what a Mary Sue character is. And different writers have different takes on how much superhuman powers Space Marines have. In fact, did you know that the Space Marines have a special gland on their body that makes them heal faster? Why don't you tell them? You must be talking about the Delaramin's organ. This particular organ increases the health regeneration of the Space Marine, helping them recover from their injuries far quicker. That's right, so they heal instantaneously! What? No, I mean, it's accelerated healing, but not to that extent. They're not Wolverine. No, it has to be true, because Ragnar takes a bolt round straight to the spine, which should disintegrate it, and a half second later, he's perfectly fine to dispatch the enemy that shot him in the back to begin with. A bolt round to the... Those things are tiny nuclear bullets. How is it? Dude, what? Are all the Space Marine characters in this book capable of doing this? Well, this book does it. Just for Ragnar. Did you really bring me back here for this? So, the big question is, what do I think of the book overall? Well, I think it does a pretty decent job of showing what the Space Wolves are and how they differ from other Space Marine chapters. I think it's pretty accurate of the way the Space Wolf attitude really works. Although it has been done better in other books. I already expressed that I don't like the way this Mary Sue character is written. While some Mary Sue characters can be fun, I don't really find Ragnar to be one of them. In the overall book, it's just kind of meh. And I kind of feel that way with the rest of the series too. If you're completely new to the Warhammer series, this Space Wold trilogy isn't a bad way to get into it. It's fairly simple and you're not going to feel completely lost trying to figure out what everybody's talking about. Although if you're the kind of reader that really likes a big, complex kind of story, with very well written characters and dialogue and scenes, and this makes everything feel epic, you're probably not going to really be able to get into this book, or the series for that matter. But if you're just looking for something fun and quick, and if you can look over the Mary Sue issues that I have with this, you might have fun with this. I don't think it's a terrible book, but I don't think it's a good book either. But for now, I am glad I'm finally done with the Space Wold series. It's been long enough. So what am I going to do next time? Let's try something that I think is going to be pretty fun. Ooh. It's going to be my first CFS Kane book next time. But till then, those have been my opinions. Take them for what they're worth.